With the NFL franchise tag deadline just a couple of hours away, new reports just surfaced saying Philadelphia will not franchise tag CJ Gardner-Johnson, meaning he is scheduled to become a free agent. Will they get a deal done? It's going to be an interesting next couple of hours. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Franchise Tag Tuesday. We have breaking news jumping in here early on a Tuesday morning, suggesting Philadelphia will not re-sign, or at least not franchise tag CJ Gardner-Johnson. There's still a chance to re-sign him, but they're not going to give him the guaranteed one-year deal. Let's go ahead and break it all down for you via the Eagles Wire. You see it up on your screen. Report: Eagles unlikely to use tag on CJ Gardner-Johnson. Quote: NFL free agency is less than 1 week away from starting. With a deadline for teams to use the franchise or transition tag, the Philadelphia Eagles are likely to stand pat and do nothing. According to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer, Howie Roseman is unlikely to use either tag on CJ Gardner-Johnson or any other free agent. Here's McClain's tweet. The NFL deadline for franchise and transition tags is today at 4 p.m., and the Eagles are unlikely to use either on safety CJ Gardner-Johnson or any other player. With the base salary being among the top 5 at the position, the franchise tag for CJ Gardner-Johnson would be $14.46 million, while the transition tag would be $11.867 million. A slot cornerback in New Orleans, Gardner-Johnson was traded to Philadelphia and firmly established himself as one of the top young stars after making the transition to the safety position. And 12 starts, Gardner-Johnson was the NFL co-leader in interceptions with 6, while also logging 67 tackles, 5 TFLs, 1 sack, and 8 passes defended. Reed Blankenship's performance as a rookie offers some cushioning heading into the next season, but Philadelphia realistically could draft a corner and a safety in next month's draft, end quote. All right, well, let's break it down. First off, don't panic. Just because they're not going to franchise tag CJ Gardner-Johnson does not mean they will not re-sign him. Let me explain. If you were to franchise tag CJ Gardner-Johnson, you're paying him a guaranteed $14.46 million this season. Now you're saying, Thomas, if they extend him, they're still going to pay him a lot of money this year, right? Yes, but you can push that money forward. And so if you franchise tag CJ Gardner-Johnson, whatever Philadelphia has in free cap space in 2023, aka next week when the new league year begins, that is counted against when you put the CJ Gardner-Johnson contract in there. If you were to extend him, you can make it less this season, but put the guarantees back just a couple of years, therefore giving him more money, but less money right now. Again, Philadelphia is trying to avoid what is really an expensive situation. Look at the top paid safeties in the National Football League via Sport Track on your screen. Derwin James makes $19.11 or $13 million a year. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 18. Jamal Adams, 17. Kevin Byard, 14. These are all in the range of what CJ Gardner-Johnson wants. He can still get this money, but if you do a long-term deal, you push it back, and you make it so that way Philadelphia still has some free cap space this season in order to go ahead and re-sign other players, whether it's TJ Edwards, whether it's Javon Hargrave, we'll talk about him in a second, or other people. That's why they're not going to go ahead and franchise tag him today. So Eagle fans are going to panic. Eagle fans are going to freak out and say, oh my goodness, we're losing everybody. Yes, you still might lose a lot of people. We talked about it on a show just a couple of days ago. Philadelphia is going to lose people, and we're going to see that happen over the next couple of days, really less than a week from now. But I do think Philadelphia still is in the CJ Gardner-Johnson running. I think they're going to get a deal done, and if they do at some point today, I will cover it, so be sure to go ahead, go down below, and subscribe. This does mean, though, they're not going to franchise tag Javon Hargrave either, just because it would cost too much money, but it doesn't take off the table the idea he could technically come back, but I do think he is most likely to be gone. So I think this is good news. Let me know what you guys think down below. We all trust Howie, right? We trusted Howie last offseason. We said Howie season. We said Howie, fixing everything. Howie had an incredible year. We have to continue to trust him, whether they re-sign CJ to a long-term deal or they don't. You got to understand that he understands, at least better than we do, the cap space situation. Thumbs up for Howie. He will be okay. Also, I think Reed Blankenship did play very well last year. He's not CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he could be a starting safety for very cheap in this league. All right, before we go ahead and get into some very weird Dennard Wilson firing news, apparently Nick Sirianni fired him. I do want to continue to push the March Madness Challenge to those of you who are in legal betting states who want to join the league. And I think this is interesting because it offers you a chance to win, a bunch of money by betting on March Madness inside my fantasy sports betting league via the Viget app. Click on the link down below. TFN website takes you to this landing page, which shows you everything you need in order to go ahead and sign up. Essentially, all you got to do is pick one of the sports book partners you see on your screen: DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Bet365. Use the link, sign up, place that first deposit and bet. send us a picture of that bet slip to Jeremy at savage.ventures, and then you'll get a password to enter my fantasy betting league. I'll be in that league. After that, totally free. Top 10 are going to split a certain percentage of the money, and every person that joins is an extra $50. Really, really cool thing going on here. They get a couple of months ago. It was great. Now we're doing it for March Madness. Link down below. Sign up. Join me. It's going to be a bunch of fun. Okay, move over here to a very interesting article from the Enquirer's Marcus Hayes about the Dennard Wilson situation. Now, you probably saw, oh, well, they picked Sean Desai over Dennard Wilson, and that means Dennard Wilson wants out. That was the report. They mutually agreed to part ways. Well, the Enquirer kind of throws some shade on that reporting. Listen to this, quote, after an acrimonious meeting this weekend, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni fired popular and productive defensive backs coach Dennard Wilson on Saturday. Two league sources confirmed. Wilson was understandably disappointed that he did not get the DC job. Sirianni knew this. Sources says Sirianni met with Wilson over the weekend looking for and receiving assurances that Wilson would cooperate with Desai. Yet Sirianni nevertheless was convinced that Wilson would not work well with Desai. This, despite Wilson working well with Gannon, even though they never were kindred spirits before Gannon got the head coaching job in Arizona. The Eagles might try and paint this as a fair split. They might try to paint this Wilson as malcontent. Neither is remotely true, according to the sources, end quote. This is fascinating, and essentially what they're saying is that Nick Sirianni met with Dennard Wilson and said, hey, we want to keep you as our D-backs coach. I know we didn't offer you the DDC job, but we want to keep you. Will you work with Sean Desai? And apparently, Dennard Wilson either said no or didn't give full assurances that he would. And honestly, you can't blame Nick Sirianni in this situation. Now, of course, they're saying that, this is not necessarily a bad split. You're not painting Wilson as malcontent. I'm not saying Dennard Wilson was angry or mean or disrespectful in the situation, but he's probably mad he didn't get the DC job, as you would be if you were up for a promotion at your company and you didn't get the job, and Joe got the job and you don't like Joe, you think you're better than Joe, and then your boss says, hey, are you gonna fall in line and listen to Joe? And you might go, I don't really want to, and they go, all right, well, listen, we're gonna let you go, you're gonna get hired somewhere else, it's not gonna be a problem. So it's not dramatic, but it is interesting, and I'm very curious to see how this affects the locker room, because obviously a lot of the defensive players, including CJ Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay, did throw their support behind Dennard Wilson, and he's no longer even in the candidacy, even on the football team. He's not their DC. However, he did land on his feet, and the new report comes here from Jeff, I'm trying to think how to say his last name, Zebraic? Last names are tough for me here. He says, quote, the Ravens are working to finalize a deal with Dennard Wilson to be their defensive backs coach. Wilson was formed with the Eagles, but was exploring other opportunities after he didn't get their DC job. If deal gets done, it'd be a nice ad for Harbaugh. And then the Ravens confirmed it just a couple of hours ago. We have named Dennard Wilson as our defensive backs coach, end quote. So Wilson lands on his feet. Took him 2 days. He's very highly sought after in the National Football League. He will still be a defensive coordinator at some point over the next couple of years, if not next season, if Baltimore plays well. So best of luck to him. Wish him nothing but the best, but we have to throw our support behind Sean Desai and throw our support behind the entire Eagle front office for making this decision. They think Desai is a lot better. They think he runs a better scheme. And honestly, if you didn't like Jonathan Gannon, Dennard Wilson would probably have been very similar in that mold. At least you're getting a different, potentially, scheme from Dennard Wilson than what, or from Sean Desai than what Dennard Wilson was able to give you. So thumbs up for that. I think it was the right move. And obviously, if things change in terms of the franchise tag, CJ Gardner-Johnson, everything the next couple of days here, I will cover it on the Thomas Mott Show, so be sure to subscribe. Could we get 10K subs before the start of the new league year next week? Less than 500 away. I would love for you guys to go ahead and subscribe. Crazy Tuesday. Stay tuned. Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show.